Well, hello everybody. Danny back from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. And no, we're not on the porch, guys. We're on the pier of the pond. And yes, it is cold. I'm shooting this on Sunday morning. This is our coldest morning that we have. It is actually 27 degrees out here. Luckily, right now, there's no wind blowing, and I'm able to do this video. We were asked on our live stream by someone, would I do the next Porch Time on the pond? And so I'm bundled up, trying to take the cold. It's 27. We were blessed. We spent a lot of time in prayer about this, and we have very low humidity today, so there's no frost. Even though it's perfectly calm, you can see the water behind me. It's like glass. Guys, with no humidity in the Deep South is unheard of. So that lets me know our weather has been manipulated, being as we have no humidity. Because usually we wake up on a morning like this and everything would be snow white. And because of that, it's possible that God has blessed us and allowed our fruit trees to be spared being frozen. So we won't know, because I'm looking at the mulberry tree right here beside me. The leaves are a little droopy on it, but we won't know for a day or two till we see how bad the burn is on the leaves and stuff to this nature. I got gloves on all. My fingers are cold because even though it's 27 degrees out here, when you get out here by this water, it's a lot colder by water. And I know that may sound silly, but the temperature around water changes drastically. So I can feel the cold kind of easing in on these coveralls here this morning. But, oh, I see a fish right there. It's unusual to be this cold when fish are hitting the top of the water like that. I guess I see stuff floating on top of the water. I don't know what it is. Possibly some kind of blooms off of trees or something other, but the fish are loving it anyway. And I'm glad to see them stirring around this morning. The sun's hitting the barn behind me. I might show you what it looks like from the pier here. I always like to let people see a little bit about what I'm looking at here as I sit here. And you see this right here? Let's let it focus for just a minute. That's the way the sun is coming up, and it's actually beginning to hit the barn. So that is, look at that water picture this morning, guys. And the cabin sitting on the hill over there, the reflection in the pond. The barn, look, it's almost like a mirrored image. Isn't that beautiful? We just love sitting here on the pier. Now, if I can get this back just like, well, I have to be careful because where water has dripped off the roof at right here, out of the gutter, it's got ice, and I don't want to slip and bust my tail. That'd be probably humorous to y'all, but it wouldn't be too humorous to me. But you know, I want to talk today about something that's the most dangerous thing in the world today. Now, I want you to listen to what I'm saying. The most dangerous thing in the world today. Okay, I'm not talking about what used to be or what was a week ago, a month ago. I'm talking about what's the most dangerous thing in the world today that we're facing. And guys, and I don't know if you'd even guess it. I mean, it gets so overlooked that whenever I was thinking about this, I was like, this is a real possibility. This is pretty serious. And nobody seems to think anything about it because we're living in a country that the hand of God has been lifted off of. Now, God is still with his people. Don't get me wrong. I do believe that. But as a nation and as a whole, God's hand is no longer with America. All you've got to do is go back and read the curses of disobedience in Deuteronomy, and you will see, read the blessings first, and then turn around and read the curses right behind it, and then look at America and what's going on in America, and you will see that we move from being blessed to being disobedient, and we're being cursed for our disobedience. And when you're cursed, that means the hand of God's been lifted off of you, and allowing the wickedness of Satan to come in and have rule and reign over your country. Now, what I'm talking about today is the most dangerous thing in the world today is the truth. I don't care where you go today. I don't care what you listen to. The hardest thing you're going to find today is the truth, because it's being hidden at such a high rate until it's almost like if we tell the truth, people are going to freak out. And I'm going to be honest with you, there is a lot of truth to that. Because the things that I find out on a weekly basis, I sit and think to myself, Wanda and I talk about this quite regularly. We think we're pretty much 98, 97, 98%, sufficient here. And we look at ourselves and go, when we find out something new, we go, oh no, we're not prepared for that. Or are we prepared as we think we are? Well, what if this happens? They're talking about, I'm really looking for, trying to figure out how to say this. I'm really looking in the Middle East or over around the Ukraine area, somewhere over in that area, for one of the next things. I'm not too much worried about nuclear weapons right at this point. I do think they will come. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe they're in the making. I believe they'll be a last resort. But what I'm looking at right now is if the powers to be over there can't get their way and can't have what they want, and the Ukrainian people keep causing such an uprising. See, they're not interested in destroying the infrastructure, even though they're bombing a lot of buildings and they're hitting a lot of facilities. Basically, what they're trying to do is just cripple the people down to where they just give in and say, hey, whatever. Yeah, let's just stop this thing. Just stop it. What they didn't realize would happen is that the Ukrainian people have a high level of resistance, and it's just not going as planned. And with that happening, more than likely, as a former boss of 3 different companies, there's a thing that happens with bosses. Bosses don't like to do this. Or let me say most don't. Now, there are those that are power hungry and stuff to this nature that have, the very sadistic type bosses that just love it. But there is occasions, even including me, over periods of time, that in order to get lots of people's attention over certain matters, you have to make an example out of somebody. And you don't like doing it, but you usually will pick your worst employee if they keep causing trouble, and you make an example out of them in front of everybody. That's just for those of you who work for somebody else, to you that's a horrible thing. But if you're the owner of a company and you're a boss, it's called business. And you may look at it in a different way, and if you do, that tells me you've always worked for somebody else. And you've never been a successful boss. But it's not a pleasant thing. It's not something that bosses should look forward to doing. But it's something that has to happen every so often in order to keep everyone's attention. Well, this situation that's going on over in the Ukraine over there, and fixing to be other parts of the world over there, the powers to be are going to come to a point. They don't want to destroy all the infrastructures, because then they'll have to go in and spend their money to rebuild it. So they would rather do the minimal amount of damage, but be able to control the people. And the way you would do that to get their attention would be to use a thermobaric bomb. Now, a lot of people don't understand thermobaric bombs. They basically take all the oxygen out of the atmosphere and you die. Your lungs actually fry from the inside, and it actually kills all the people. Doesn't destroy the infrastructure at all, and it sends out a message to people that says, hey, we'll take all of you out if we have to. So, do what we tell you to do. Now, don't think that this is something that's new. We've used this in Afghanistan. We've used it in Iraq. We've used it in lots of different places that we've been in. Nobody talks about them. Syria has used them. I mean, lots of these countries over there have used them. You just don't hear about it because the MSM literally doesn't want people to know that this type of stuff is being used. And there again, we go back to the simple fact that nobody is being told the truth. One of the main truths about what's going on across the water over there right now is that the Ukraine this is something most people don't think about. The Ukraine holds, now guys, listen to what I'm fixing to tell you, hint, hint. The Ukraine holds a large percentage of the world's fresh water. The Ukraine holds a huge percentage of the world's grain. Whether it be corn, wheat, barley, all this, they hold a large percentage of it. Because they're like the grow belt of the world. And the Soviet Union knows this. They need it. Because they know what's coming. Through the weather, through the planetary system that's out there. They know all this stuff that's coming. They need to be able to feed their people. They don't care about infrastructure. They just want the land. Because the land gives them the seaports that they need to be able to move their goods like they need to, or to get them in. They need the grow belt over there to be able to raise food, to feed their people with. And plus, there's just that old adage of just they want the old empire back. You know, these older people, that's just what's on their mind. They want to go down in history, especially once you get to be a certain age and you haven't really made a name for yourself. People like that, they want to be able to make a name for themselves, and they don't care what the cost is. And guys, that's where we're at. The truth has been hidden all the way around, and nothing is being said much about biblical prophecy and all this. There's a lot of prophetic stuff that's involved in this. The king of the north has to come down toward Israel, and he's got to make his way. I mean, he's got to go through and make a way for him to be able to get down there. And in order to do that, he's got to have that particular part of the world in there in order to be able to do that. Now, I do believe there's been some resistance that he didn't plan on, especially with NATO and other alliances out there. Boy, the fish are just jumping for some reason. But they had resistances I don't think that they literally thought about there. But what about our country? You know, how is this going to affect us? Well, it's going to affect us in a ton of different ways. One is going to be hyperinflation. Two is going to be a lack of food. Three is going to be outrageous fuel prices. These are things that we haven't taken into consideration. And look, guys, this is all by design. I'm going to go ahead and tell you all the things that I've heard. It's all by design. Low interest rates. I'm trying to figure out how to put this into a way that I'm not going to get in trouble. Low interest rates have been around for so long. And all that's done, it has sparked people to sell what they have, because housing has been at an all-time high. Sell what they have and go out and go back in debt deeper for larger things. And then the next phase is to crash the economy and to be able to fix it where people cannot afford what they have. Now, the last situation we had that came up here the last 2 years in our country, there was a big plan and a big movement for that to cause a huge collapse. Well, it didn't quite go over the way they expected it to. So now they're reaching out and they're actually trying to make it happen in another fashion. If they couldn't cripple you by shutdowns, then now they will cripple you through high prices and hyperinflation, these type things. They're still going to shut it down. They're still trying to shut it down. There is an agenda to thin everything out, everything out. Just dig up the info. It's there about how much of a population they want in the United States by 2025, things of this nature, guys. It's all there. And in order to achieve that goal, there has to be certain things happen in the world. They can't just do it in the United States, because this is global, guys. This is not just the United States. This is a global thing. The only way they can accomplish this is to lie. They have to lie to everybody. So, with that being said, the most dangerous thing in the world today is the truth. Why do you think Adolf Hitler burnt all kinds of books that held all types of history? Why do we think during the Dark Ages there was book burnings everywhere? I mean, go read about it, study it in history, it's all there. When certain civilizations try to stop the knowledge that's there and they don't want the common people to know about it, they burn the books, they change history, they do whatever they need to do. And this is how it happens. Well, with technology today, they're not so-called burning books today. They are still changing history, but now what they do is called censoring. And most people jump on the internet and they go, oh, I'm Googling this or I'm Googling that, and they get these answers and they go, well, this is what it says. It's not the truth. Okay? And I know a lot of you is going to go, but what do we do? It's the only information we have. Yeah, if you hadn't done your homework over all the years and bought up old-timey books and stuff like this before history was rewrote, I mean, if you didn't pay attention when you were younger and get all this stuff in, and if you didn't align yourself with key people that know the truth and have been booted from their jobs because they didn't comply, yeah, if you don't surround yourself with these type of people and you just look at something on the internet, yeah, you're going to fall prey to it and you're going to believe it because it's all you have for information. And that's why I don't go to the internet looking for all my information. I contact people. You know, I mean, when we started talking about the grand solar minimum, I started becoming friends with one of the world's leading scientists from another country. I got emails from him. I got literature he sent me literature and stuff like this because he was happy to see another person putting out the truth. Lots of these scientists, their countries shut them up and told them they had to change everything that they put out there so that when you look at it online now, it says something totally different than it did in the beginning. And I'll give you a prime example. One of them was Valentina Zarkova. In her early studies and stuff, she put out some information that was actually accurate and true, but they made her go back and change it. And now when you look at her stuff, it says something totally different than it did in the beginning. And guys, I don't know how else to say. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you who to talk to. I can't do that. Because that wouldn't be right to the people that I know and talk to. That would be unfair to them to have people bombarding them. And then it would just throw them out in the limelight and they could get in trouble. So the best thing to do is align yourself with people. If you can find, especially if you can find some of the older people who know the actual truth about what's going on, and not, you got to forget and I know the younger generation, and I'm not criticizing them in any way whatsoever. I love a lot of the younger generation, and I admire a lot of the younger generation's courage, especially those that are standing up to the wrong in this world, wanting to know the truth. But they've all been to universities, they've all been to colleges and things like this that are loaded with professors that do nothing but teach propagandas and lies. They try to teach stuff and they try to brainwash all of our younger generation into believing, and they look and they believe it because it's all they know. They don't know any different. You can't blame them. It's because they've been taught wrong. I watched lots of Putin's interviews, not interviews, but televised broadcasts through their own media. Don't look at it through our media. Go to their media and look at it through their media. And when Putin speaks to his people, he's telling them all kinds of things about what's going on over there that is completely not the truth. I mean, he is... Now let me say this. A lot of it is the truth. But there's a lot of it that's not the truth. It's kind of like telling a half lie. You're telling a partial truth. You're telling some things that are true, but you're also telling about just about as many things that's not true. And in their minds, it makes it like, well, I've told partial truth, so hey, I haven't lied. Well, a half lie is the same thing as a whole lie. You know, you can't tell a partial truth and it be accurate. You've got to tell the whole truth. That's the reason when you go to swear in court, they make you hold your hand up. You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the whole truth, so help you God. The whole truth. You know, not partial truth. I mean, I can sit here and tell partial truths about everything and I'm still lying. And that's exactly what's happening with the mainstream media. It's what's happening with the internet. It's what's happening with colleges and universities and all these types of things. It's what's happening with world leaders. It's happening everywhere. You know, is all of Putin... Whew, my nose is so cold about can't feel it. Is everything that Putin's saying wrong about the United States? No. As a matter of fact, a lot of it is true. And that's the sad thing about it. A lot of it is true. I mean, stop and think about this. The real reason Putin started doing what he's doing is because the Ukraine wanted to align with NATO, and when they did, NATO was going to be bringing in nuclear missiles and giving the United States air bases and places to put nukes all around in Ukraine and all that right on Russia's border. Okay, if you was a Russian, would you want someone from somewhere else to have nuclear weapons right against your doorsteps? It's just like when the Soviet Union came down here to Cuba during the Kennedy crisis, the nuclear crisis back in the 60s, and wanted to put nuclear weapons in Cuba, and we stopped it. Was we wrong for doing that? No. Is Putin wrong for not wanting nuclear weapons in his back door? No. He wants his people to be safe just like we want our people to be safe. So there's truth in that. But to say that people are neo-Nazis and all this kind of stuff, guys, they are there in the Ukraine. Yes, they are there. They are inside they have infiltrated inside the fighting part of it. But they are not the mass majority of the people. Okay? They are there, but they're not the mass majority of the people. Guys, it's just like I've always said before. I don't care whether you're American. I don't care if you're Canadian. I don't care if you're Mexican. I don't care if you're Venezuelan. I don't care if you're English. I don't care if you're Soviet, Ukrainian, Yugoslavian, Polish. People are the same wherever you go. And if you talk to anybody who's traveled around the world, they will tell you when you meet people from other countries that are not what you call technically influenced by their governments, they're just people. They're just trying to survive. They love their country. They love their land. They love their families. You know, they love doing what they do. They're just people. They want to be left alone. It's the technocrats, it's the governments, it's the people of the world who are in authority and in power, who go out here and are greedy and just want authoritarian power over everyone. They want to dictate what everybody does. They just greed power. And we see this in our government. You know, Pinocchio Joe and Pelosi and Shoemaker and whatever you want to call him, Schumer. It don't really matter. And Mitch McConnell, and, you know, the rhinos, you know, all these people, they're just power hungry people. They've got themselves in bed with everybody, and they're just evil. And this is all in the Bible. And when it talks about Mystery Babylon, it says she's the whore of the world. In other words, she's slept with everybody. She's lied. She's made deals with everybody. And they're wicked people. They don't tell the truth. They don't have anything to do with the truth. They're as far from the truth as possible. And guys, that's where we are. Today, I want you to think about it. The most dangerous thing in the world today is the truth. It's not easy to find. You're going to have to align yourself with key people in order to find out the truth. You're not going to find it, listen to me, you're not going to find it on the internet. I don't care if you go to Wikipedia. I don't care what you go to. 95% of it is a half-truth. It's a lie. I don't know how else to put it. If you're sitting up here trying to Google and you're asking for links to this and links to that, I'm not going to do it because it's a lie. It doesn't, the truth just doesn't exist. Everybody goes, oh, well, you can go to Rumble, you can do this or you can do that. It's all censored. Listen to me. It's all censored. The only way you get the truth is if you go to someone, if you like with me, Billy from Permapasture Farms, me and him talk on a regular basis. There's other YouTube channels out there that may not appreciate me mentioning their names, but Billy don't mind, I know. When we sit down face to face and talk, the first thing we do, I had a friend here this past weekend. They took their cell phone, went and put it in the truck, locked the door, and said, now let's talk. You know, and their neighbor's not far from us here. And guys, that's where you're going to get the truth. Face to face with people who have actual knowledge. People that's inside these corporations that are not willing to go out in front of anybody, that's not willing to talk where there's a telephone around where anything can hear what you're saying. Just face to face. You're not going to find the truth through a link. You're not going to find it through a social platform. None of this kind of stuff. And a lot of you's going to look at it and go, well, I'm sitting here listening to you and this is not truth. No, what I'm telling you today, as far as I know, at this point in my life, is 100% accurate. If it's not, and somewhere along the line I find out it's not, guess what? I will come back and tell you that it's not. But I think that most of you, if you go back and watch my videos in the past, or if you've been following me in the past, I don't think you're going to find too much where you're going to say, he didn't tell the truth. Because everything that I have put out, as far as I know, has been accurate. I don't think there's been a thing that I've said that hasn't been accurate. And you go all the way back to 2017, 18, and 19 when I talked about, I did videos on food shortages that were coming in this country and supply chain breakdowns that were coming. Guys, in 2020, it all started happening. I mean, these people planned this stuff years ago, and it's just taking time for it to work out and come to fruition. It's just that now they're trying to get this thing going as fast as they can because there's something coming into our system that is going to be devastating, and they're trying to ramp it up and make it happen as fast as they can. And they will lie to you in a heartbeat in order to cover up everything that's going on so that they can get their agenda over as quickly as possible. And guys, I hope today that what I've said has not been anything that's going to get me in too much trouble. I know Ms. Wanda's probably going to have to do some editing in this one, and I hope she don't edit it too hard. But the bottom line is this. We love each and every one of you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for subscribing to us. And guys, please hit the thumbs up button. That puts this video in the algorithm so that other people can hear, other people can get their minds in order, and they can get themselves prepared as best as they can. Do we know everything that's going to happen? No, because evil is evil. Evil has a mind that you can't comprehend. Evil has a way of doing things that a good mind can't see things in that way. You know, and you got to look at it from that aspect. So it's impossible to prepare for everything that's coming and know what to do, because if you're not an evil person, you don't see it through those eyes. And it's very difficult. That's why presidents have cabinets and stuff like this, people to get information from, because they need opinions from other different areas coming in so that they don't mess around and make bad decisions. And I would suggest that you and me as individuals do exactly the same thing. That's what I do. I surround myself with people that are very knowledgeable about things in the world, things in the planetary system, things below the earth, things above the earth, things that's going on with politicians. Guys, wisdom comes in surrounding yourself with knowledgeable people. Don't believe the lies. Remember, guys, today, the most dangerous thing in the world out there to the people that's in power is the truth. The truth, what does the scripture say? It will set you free. And my friends, if freedom is what you're after, then you need to look for the truth. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.